This is an eye for an eye. Welcome to today's show. The VMAs, I've covered them year in and year out for the most part, and I decided to cover it again, since I'm a new YouTuber, again, starting a new channel, again. So maybe some of the youth out there will see this and understand that these people are all a part of the occult. They're all communists because communism is it is the staple of the one world order, the new world order government, which of course is Satan's government. It is a system of total control and total perversion. And pretty much what it does and it enables is the reprobates to be empowered and run amok. And speaking of reprobates, we're talking about the VMAs, right? So that's a nice segue in. Let's take a look at some of the carnage from the VMAs. Now, this award show gets more and more embarrassing every year. And when you see some of the people they rolled out, like LL Cool J and Puff Daddy, and the fact that they rolled these people out shows you that they still want to target people who are in their 30s and 40s who listen to these people when they were younger so they can bring them in and continue to push their agendas onto them while also sharing that same agenda with their children. Of course, all of these celebrities have the same political ideologies. They're all about genderless society. All these things are just common sense. They don't believe in. They believe in absolute depravity. And okay, let's start, right? Speaking of which, let's go to the red carpet first, right? And we've got something here, something I'm sure that's well hung, that's got Baphomet on its head, right? Of course, or this is just a look we're supposed to believe, right? She just walked through a pricker bush apparently and decided to show up here. Of course, this is the horns that you're seeing, just another way. They love doing this. They love getting away with worshiping Baphomet out in public by doing things that other people are like, oh, that's real creative or artistic, when everybody out there with eyes to see and ears to hear knows exactly what they're doing. So you have the Baphomet horns, of course. Then you get this, and again, I don't know the names of these reprobates. Okay, a lot of them at least, I don't know their names. So here's another one. I mean, does it really matter at this point? Because they're all the same person, aren't they? They're all worshiping and working for the Antichrist, all pushing the same signs and symbols. So here's the thing here. Pushing the 666 in one hand. Of course, what is she saying? A-OK? Is she MAGA? Is that what we're supposed to believe? Oh, right. Right, for the people who say that doesn't mean 666, it couldn't be more obvious. She a John Cena fan, right? All these people who use this 666 symbol are telling you who they worship and who they work for right in front of your faces. And of course, in her or his other hand, don't be surprised to see a wad of money, right? Because this is the dumbed down society we live in where all the songs are about money and drugs and all these things, of course, that are opposite of what God tells us to achieve here on earth, but also just the dumbing down of society, making things about money, making people into criminals. It's a massive mind control operation. So we move on, and then we get another thing here with nails longer than Freddy Krueger, who's licking a bone, right? Here's just a little cannibalism for you. You'll see cannibalism as a common theme inside the show, of course, because they're always showing you these types of things that they do in secret. They're normalizing it to be out in the open. So nobody's sickened or creeped out by this thing that's licking a bone right out there. And of course, they'll say, well, it's not a human bone, so what's the big deal? Oh, okay. Right. But these are the same people that tell you not to eat meat. So what bone is it, right? You're licking a bone, but you're telling us that we need to eat bugs and plant-based burgers. So now we got Demi Lovato. I threw this in here because Demi Lovato decided to roll around on her kitchen table and wrap herself up in what appears to be a plethora of placemats. And of course, this is considered fashion. These people are wearing their druid cloaks, of course. And Demi will go on later to sing her Planned Parenthood anthem, which I covered many moons ago, which really was only a couple months ago, on a channel long deleted. And I got to get a lot of this content, continue to get it up on the website, uprisingrevival.com, because there's just way too much stuff that's gone now that people need to see. But again, those are things that I can't put up because once the algorithm sees that it's already been up, they can read that and automatically come after it. So plus I have to edit around like the name of the channel and all that kind of crap. But I'm going to try to get those up. Demi Lovato, of course. Again, I'll show you a clip later, a picture later. Demi Lovato doing her anthem or his anthem. Of course, another common theme is what? Well, men dressing as women, of course. Because this is the epitome of how they brainwash men into being weak, is getting them to worship these loser false idols at the VMAs and all the other celebrity award shows. And these people are absolute embarrassments. I mean, these people would get laid out if this was high school and back in the 90s or even, the 80s especially. But, this is the stuff they're promoting. That's violent, of course, to say anything like that. So we should just let men have pocketbooks and dress as women because those are all stereotypes, apparently. These people are hypocrites. They're liars and they're groomers. That's what they're doing. So You have this guy who nobody knows, who just decided to wear apparently a pirate scarf and a purse, and his parents must be really, really proud. I mean, they probably are just cloaked in shame, but we know in reality the parents are obviously in the occult. They're the ones who probably did rituals with him, with their other fellow producers and executives in Hollywood, and that's how the kid turns out this way, because that's how it works. So then we get Little Nas X, of course, mocking. He's holding a Bible in his hands, mocking. We all have seen him lap dancing the Baphomet. Of course, Little Nas X is, this is just normal now, right? People are so desensitized. 10 years ago, they'd be like, look what this guy's wearing, right? Guy's just wearing a dress, showing leg, oiled up. This is just, it's embarrassing. Men have become a disgrace, absolute disgrace in this society. And of course, there wouldn't be a VMA now, these days, without Doja Cat, right? And you'll see Doja Cat later, because Doja Cat performs the songs I just covered, like Paint the Town Red, Satanic Ritual, Satanic Anthem, and then, of course, Demons, but she's not talking about how she's demon-possessed, not with those all-seeing eye tattoos on her hand or all the other crap that this thing does, Doja Cat. I decided to throw this in there. That's my buddy Jared Leto, who I've bullied many times, apparently, and been given strikes for, even had channels removed. Well, I don't know if they were necessarily removed for the videos on him, but I got strikes for bullying him, and of course, he's decided to show up wearing eyeshadow because, again, this is a manly man. Same guy who, of course, his acting career is so toxic. If anyone hasn't seen the movie Gucci, I actually saw the movie Gucci, or at least parts of it. Jared Leto in it. It's one of the worst acting performances ever. So if you want a really good laugh, watch Gucci. Him and Lady Barfbag, absolutely some of the worst acting you will ever see in the history of film. I'm talking worse than Troll. Like Troll 2, the horror movie, like worse. Okay, and of course we've seen clips of Jared Leto as the Joker, just absolutely horrific. You can't imagine the ritual sacrifices that this guy has made to be in this position. Because some of these people, we look at them, we're like, oh, it sucks that this guy is in it. I really liked his work. Some people say all the time, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. I grew up watching some movies and stuff like that. So when you find out one of these guys who's actually a good actor, you're like, well, you can't say that with Jared Leto. The music's atrocious, the acting's atrocious, and of course, how he presents himself in society is just flat out embarrassing. So I'm going to get into the award show now because I want you to see a lot of the common themes that I'm seeing. I see themes more so than I see anything else. Of course, I see signs and symbols and always expose that to everybody. But you really need to look at the themes. And there's an underlying theme if you compare the VMAs of the past to what we're seeing now. And that is how they're rolling in all of this foreign music into the VMAs. People just subliminally go along with this. They don't even realize why they're pushing K-pop in America, why they're pushing bands, Spanish bands, etc. All of them are singing on American television, and none of them speak English. And these people are cheering in the audience by design because they're told to. And the people at home are listening, and they don't even realize what they're doing here. So this is breaking barriers. Okay, this is breaking barriers, not for the way they say it. We're like, this is groundbreaking because it's so cool and neat. They're breaking barriers as far as culture goes. This is a nationalist country. They're obviously doing everything they can to destroy nationalism, trying to say that being a nationalist is racist, all this other crap we hear. This all goes back to the Tower of Babel. God's the one who divided the nations and the people deliberately, by design, by God's plan. He divided everybody, created and scrambled up the languages, etc. They're trying to do the opposite of that. So globalism is essentially that, in a sense. It's a one world government with one language, but they're trying to cross over all different cultures, all different language barriers, and bring them here right now so that they can destroy nationalism. So they're normalizing this stuff. 10 years ago, people have been like, why is there a band from South Korea or wherever these K-pop bands are popping up on our television speaking different languages? And I don't know if they did in this specific song, but there was some guy performing a Lady Gaga song. He's not speaking English, or a song devoted to Lady Gaga, just a little idol worship for Lady Barfbag. But they're not speaking English. These are a lot of national bands from other countries. It used to be that they'd have VMAs in the UK, they'd have VMAs in Australia, they'd have VMAs in America, and they would just be those bands, those mind control bands for each specific country who were doing their best to groom the children out there. Now they're bringing them in from all different areas. And of course, these K-pop bands are perfectly designed how they push anime onto these kids as well. They look like human anime characters, but these are very, very feminist men. These are guys that weigh 25 pounds soaking wet. Okay, and of course, you see some of them have the black and white symbolism on their sleeves, of course. These kids, or whatever they are, obviously, I'm sure the majority of them identify as different genders. I'm sure the majority of, it's all the same stuff, it's all part of the programming. I'm sure a lot of them love to ride the Hershey Highway. This is all done by design, of course, to influence children into this type of behavior and lifestyle. And nobody wonders why there's a spike and an increase. And you see more and more kids who are identifying as this, or they don't realize they're under mind control. What is all of a sudden everybody's coming out of the closet? Huh? I mean, really? All of a sudden kids are different genders now, but they weren't 10 years ago? Yeah, it's called mental health problems. And of course, these are the people who are promoting it. These are the ones who are really responsible. Our government enables it with the bills and laws that they try to pass. But these are the ones who influence this stuff. That's why they all agree on this. And you have to, if you're not going to get put on TV unless you agree. So then as the show goes on, I just got to throw some of this stuff in here. We actually had Puff Daddy show up doing a ritual. Of course, he's wearing red. Okay, this whole thing he did was a ritual for Biggie, because he's the one who sacrificed Biggie. Everybody knows that. And anybody who doesn't understand how this stuff works, these people sacrifice each other. That's how they, if somebody like Puff Daddy was was not famous, Biggie was famous. Who benefited from his sacrifice? Puff Daddy. Puff Daddy became one of the biggest names in music at the time. I mean, now he's just, his music isn't even good. The fact that it never was. The fact that he's even, a billionaire is pretty amazing, or a millionaire, multimillionaire. So he's wearing red, of course, paying, because this is a mock ritual for Biggie Smalls. He's pointing up to him. You see the door open in the sky, of course. I mean, he's singing "I'll Be Missing You." What is it, 50 years since that, the Police song came out? "I'll Be Watching You," which he remaked into "I'll Be Missing You." And people don't even realize it's just a stolen song. So he's doing a little ritual there for Biggie. Why not, right? Because all the people on this stage have committed human sacrifice, so they might as well, openly just let you know. And then we have Olivia Rodrigo. I'm just covering this because vampire. This is more normalization of cannibalism out in the open. The whole notion that we have vampires, this fame of vampires, vampire this, vampire that, Twilight this, Twilight that. People don't realize how they're normalizing bloodlust. I mean, vampires, I've talked about a million times. This goes back to the blood libel, which you're not allowed to talk about here, which is a certain group of people who are accused because they were rightfully accused. Of course, they say it's a conspiracy for sacrificing and eating, young ones, especially Christian young ones. I won't go into more detail, but that's why vampires have been normalized. They're continuing to beat this into people. And of course, Lil Wayne pops up, right? Lil Wayne, the backstory of Lil Wayne couldn't be funnier, especially how Lil Wayne presents himself as hard. Lil Wayne is a highway. He's got Easy Pass on the Hershey Highway. But I just wanted to point out that he's wearing his black and white, of course, and throwing up devil horns. And behind him, you could see black and white symbolism as well. These are all Freemason puppets. They are doing the bidding of their handlers, and they just rolled some of these people back out for no reason. Demi Lovato, of course, with Heart Attack. Sorry, Not Sorry. Deliberately putting that in there so they could push their anthem. It's looked at as an anthem for Planned Parenthood. Again, this is all brainwashing of the youngsters, the youngsters. That's a dated word, but for the youth out there. And you'll see all-seeing eye symbolism, right? Here's the stage with the all-seeing eye. You see this a bunch of times. This is Peso Pluma, who's doing a tribute to, I guess his song is called Lady Gaga. This entire song is not in English. Again, this is more pushing of a new world order, a one world order. And these people are so dumbed down, they don't even realize they're listening to people sing in different languages. They don't know what they're saying. They're just spell casting on them in different languages. And again, uniting all these nations, people are like, that's a great thing. They don't realize that it's all united under the Antichrist. God's the one who divided the nations, and Christians out there don't even realize that. God's the one that scrambled the languages because of what was happening with the Tower of Babel. And again, it's about the New World Order, the rebuilding of the Tower of Babel. So this guy throwing up, using the all-seeing eye, of course, again, paying tribute to who? Well, paying tribute to Lady Gaga, Lady Barfbag, one of their, high-ranking witches, high-ranking priestesses in the occult. So they always worship, the next people up worship the ones above them, and then they continue throughout that process, just like, Madonna was worshipped by Britney Spears, etc. Now, like Taylor Swift worships Britney Spears, blah, blah, blah. So Nicki Minaj showed up wearing her Baphomet dress. If you can't see it in the dress, this style of dress is very common. You can see the horns, multiple levels of the horns at the top and the middle, and of course the V, the Freemasonic compass at the bottom. A lot of their outfits, they do this. I know people are like, that's a stretch, but it's actually true. They do, but with all the stuff they do now out in the open, when you look at those things, you're like, yeah, is it really a big deal? So you get the guy from Run DMC throwing up devil horns with Nicki Minaj. Again, Nicki Minaj, multiple people at the show doing the Mickey Mouse ears. Okay, showing you that they're MK Ultra. They were children in MK Ultra. Mickey Mouse ears represents that. Of course, throwing up the devil horns. And then what else do we see? Lightning bolts, right? You know, some of these bands that they brought out, I guess these are like hip hop bands from the 90s. I don't even know many of them. I mean, Run DMC, I've heard of. I know Run DMC. But, you know, they're throwing up lightning bolts behind them, right on stage there, because I guess they're really big fans of the Tampa Bay Lightning hockey team. Although they're not. Oh, they're really big fans of Kiss or AC/DC or Marilyn Manson. Oh, no, they're not. Oh, they're just big fans of thunderstorms. They've got Jim Cantor tattooed, his face tattooed on their back, and they can't wait for the next thundersnow, apparently. So more of that. Then we get Shakira. Yep, these people love to be worshipped. So a lot of these shows, they do like all-time achievement awards, all this stuff. So they're rolling Shakira out. What is Shakira doing? Well, Shakira starts, of course, where? Well, she's inside of a giant cube. You know, you get your Saturn worship, your cube worship with sun worship as well, right behind Shakira. And of course, then we get all-seeing eye symbolism all over the place, clearly forming an eyeball. The stage, of course, as always, they use the giant circle on stage. This is the Magul circle, the circle of protection, they believe, in the occult. They do their spells. I'm sure I've covered it a million times. If you're new to it, I'm sure you've seen The Craft or any of these shows that promote satanic rituals. Even if they're joking about the ritual, they're always in a circle, right? Holding hands in a circle or doing a spell casting in a circle, summoning a spirit in a circle, Ouija board, etc. This is how they spellcast and do their rituals. All of these award shows are nothing more than gigantic rituals that are being performed. So they're doing a ritual at the same time showing you all-seeing eye symbolism all over the place of these, you know, even colors that make them look like demon eyes. And then we get Shakira doing a little Baphomet for us, right? We get our crescent moon symbolism there, right? Why not? You know, these witches. I mean, it's just unbelievable, really. As a Shakira, man or woman, whatever you think, doesn't look like Shakira's aged much. Actually, it looks like Shakira's like 15. So we know Shakira's getting a fresh dose of, well, adrenaline. Right? You know what word I'm talking about. Okay? And then, of course, we see the black sun behind Shakira. No surprise here. We know the occultic meaning of the black sun, black hole sun. And, of course, we also know our government wants to block out the sun, too. So that's convenient. And then we'll wrap it up here with who? Well, we'll wrap it up with Doja Cat, right? Now, Doja Cat, very interesting. I scrolled through Doja Cat's performance here to see if Doja Cat actually dressed up as the Baphomet, as Satan, covered in blood, of course. They do actually do that stuff. But I'll start here. You know, if you didn't see the videos with Doja Cat, maybe I'll re-upload them on Uprising Revival channel. Okay, so sub to that. It's linked below if you haven't yet. If you want to see the Doja Cat videos, I'll put them up over there so people can see. What you see in here with Doja Cat is Doja Cat with the lyrics of the song talks like Doja Cat's a man. Now, is Doja Cat a man? I mean, my eyes don't deceive me. I'd say 100%. But Doja Cat even goes on to grab her nuts, I guess you could say, right? Because Doja Cat's probably got them. And talks about, you know, these women are so vulgar, but they're also talking about how they have junk, right? Whereas the men, I mean, this is how inverted it all is by design. But I see if her talking about her penis pretty much, which we could all probably agree. I mean, looking at Doja Cat, you know? And then you got the men out there who are stick figures, right? The K-pop bands, dressed as girls, wearing skirts and dresses. A lot of the men, you know, I don't even know if I'll know after the fact. I put clips up in here of all the stuff I'm showing you, but a lot of the men were wearing skirts during their singing performances. A lot of the men, obviously, on the red carpet. So she's wearing almost like this is considered a female woman's business suit, but grabbing the nutsack and saying, you know, suck on my pee. So, you know, this is normal, right? This is what girls do all the time. And then, of course, what is she surrounded by? Well, surrounded by people covered in blood, because that's normal, right? You know, it's no big deal. People are so desensitized. I think even like a couple years ago, people would be like, can you believe, you know, it's got people on stage covered in blood, talking about human sacrifice, talking about demons. And now it's just, you know, old news for people, because that's the whole point of what they're doing, is desensitizing people. The more they hear it, and they just go, oh, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? And, you know, it's been going on since rock and roll's come out. But just frightening. I mean, you got these things covered in blood. So let's just do a quick recap of what we had. We had people dressed as Baphomet, throwing up 666 signs. A lot of cannibalism, somebody in a dress eating a bone, to those people covered in blood, to somebody singing about vampires, to vampire itself, Jared Leto, and all these men dressed as women. The K-pop feminism of men, of course, crossing the barriers with the Tower of Babel and the New World Order, and ending nationalism. Again, they want you to think nationalism is racism. God is the one who divided the nations. Too many Christians are like, well, we should accept this. No one's saying not to accept. You could like what you want to like. They're forcing this down kids' throats. They're forcing K-pop, all of these other countries are now big and prominent in America. This is all done by design so that they could just casually be like, oh yeah, we don't need borders anymore. We don't need this anymore because it's going to be a one world government. And these idiots just think it's hateful to say something like that. But, these people are obviously weakened. Hopefully a lot of them go for their death dose soon and we don't have to deal with them because I'm really just sick of them at this point, especially what they're doing to kids. A lot of these parents who are poisoning their kids. So if they go get their death dose, maybe the kids will snap out of it and wake up and won't be poisoned by their own parents. But that's another story for another day. I can't go into more detail. That's on the website, uprisingrevival.com. Demi Lovato, of course, singing the anthem for Planned Parenthood. And what else did we see? Well, we just saw Baphomet, lightning, Saturnalia, eyeballs. Just common things that we, see at these shows. Black hole sun, cubes, Shakira, crescent moons, and Baphomet. And, of course, women holding their private parts saying that they have penises. So this is the new norm in 2023. These are obviously the reprobates who are responsible for the poisoning of our society. This is how we've gotten to the point we're at, where the youth out there is now, is a mental army for the communist regime. Now, these are obviously very weak individuals. Most of the parents, Democratic parents of the kids that they raise, which let's just call them what they are, communist parents who are raising their kids communists, they're weak. They're pushovers, but they're using their voice and they're using their tattletale techniques to enable this communist regime. So we're seeing this in society because of these celebrities. These celebrities are the ones who push all these ideologies on the kids, and they try to make it look cool, even though to me it looks absolutely humiliating and embarrassing. But the kids do fall for it because they're vulnerable. They're it's easy to manipulate them with this type of stuff. And then they see them and their money and all this crap, and they want to be like them because their parents enable it and tell them that that's normal because the parents did it themselves and don't even realize that they're under mind control too. So the VMAs, ladies and gentlemen, just more poison for the soul. That's what these things are. I mean, they're just soul-sucking leeches, these people, if you want to call them that. Really, they're all demons, as Doja Cat says. I thank everybody for being here. Reminder, please sub to my other channel, Uprising Revival, now if you haven't. I am going to be mixing content over there. I know normally I say, hey, just go sub. I'll be uploading there, which is pretty much what happened with this channel. But I am going to actually mix in content between the two. And I think what I'm going to do in the future is I'm going to leave videos up for 14 days and then take them down and put them up on the website. That way they can't do this huge checking of my channel, which is what they just did. And they were like, oh, we now see that all of 100 videos or so, I think it might trigger it. We see that this content is not friendly to us anymore because obviously I start out with the video game content. So then they're like, this is great. This is what we want to see. Oh, wait a minute. He's talking about FEMA? Take this, demonetize it. Get them out of the partner program. We don't want kids actually seeing this stuff. I don't want them waking up. We want to control them so we can eventually do all sorts of stuff with them because these people are absolute demons. So make sure you sub to Uprising Revival. And again, check out the website if you haven't, uprisingrevival.com. I thank you all for being here. Hope you're doing well. God bless all of you as always and your families.